They deliberately kept me unaware of my brother's graduation dinner. Mom insisted I should concentrate on settling our family's $9,200 debt. My brother jeered. No spot for you? That's right, you're not really part of this family. My parents remained completely silent, so I replied, no seat? Funny, I've been paying for this whole table all along. Until this very moment. Have you ever been told you don't belong, that you're not really family, just because you're the one holding everything together? I have. And for me, that realization came with a shocking twist. They didn't want me at the dinner table because I was the one paying for it. So hey, I'm Ethan, 31, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the one who keeps the lights on. Not just metaphorically, but literally. I'm the one paying the Wi-Fi, filing mom's taxes, fixing dad's phone. I work in back-end support for a logistics company, which means I'm basically the fire department for everyone else's tech emergencies. My life is pretty simple. A small apartment by the river, a wheezing coffee machine, 2 chipped mugs. I like order. I like lists. I like when numbers make sense. In my family, I'm the responsible one. Translation, I'm the spare wallet with legs. Then there's my brother, Tyler. He's 23, and he's the fun one. Translation, he's the reason the bills go sideways. He's dropped out of community college twice, calls it finding himself. Drives a loud car, prays for his brakes, and he's TikTok confident, but always rent payment shy. My parents? They call him a free spirit. Me? I call him my most expensive hobby. So, picture this. It's a Friday afternoon. I'm deep in the weeds, debugging some gnarly import script, when my phone buzzes. It's the family group chat. A message pops up. Graduation dinner for our Thai. Saturday, 7 p.m. La Vigna. Dress nice. I blinked. Graduation? I scroll up. Mom had posted a picture of a rolled-up diploma and some glittery confetti. My gut twisted. Graduation from what? I typed. 3 dots appeared, then Tyler's reply. LOL, chill grandpa. It's my completion ceremony. HVAC course certificate. Mom chimed in right after. Dinner after. So proud of our boy. Everyone's coming. I was genuinely confused. I keep a shared family calendar, dental appointments, oil changes, even reminders to water the fern. Nothing about this. Not a peep. No heads up. No invitation for me. So, I typed, La Vigna usually needs a head count. The dots popped up again, vanished, then reappeared. My mom's message landed like a punch. Ethan, honey, you should focus on paying the family's $9,200 debt instead. We'll handle dinner. I read that sentence 3 times. It hit me like a joke that wasn't funny, a weapon disguised as concern. Debt? I typed back, my fingers trembling. What debt? And why am I not invited? A minute later, Tyler chimed in, his words like a drum roll of pure malice. No seat for you. Then he added, oh right, you're not really part of this family. A winking face. A laughing emoji. A thumbs up. I stared at my screen, the code blurring, dissolving into a meaningless mess. My head was spinning. I called, needing to hear their voices to understand. Mom picked up. On speaker, I could hear it. Music, clinking plates, laughter in the background. My voice was tight. Mom, what was that? She sighed. That familiar, patient sigh. Ethan, please don't start. Tonight is for your brother. The restaurant is small, and you didn't tell me about it. Didn't tell me? I shot back. You put it in the chat as a done deal. Silence. Then Tyler's voice, close to the phone, cheerful and absolutely chilling. La Vigna isn't a soup kitchen, dude. Limited seats. I started to say his name, but he cut me off. Hey, no hard feelings, but come on. You've always got your spreadsheets and your whatever. We need family energy tonight. Dad's voice, low and weary, tried to interject. Let's not escalate. I could hear chairs scraping, glasses clinking, a server announcing gratuity for parties of 8. Not invited. I said it out loud in my quiet apartment. The words felt small, insignificant. Mom cleared her throat, a nervous little sound. Ethan, you know, we're trying to tackle that balance. Utilities, the HOA, your father's dental. We thought it was better if you prioritize. Prioritize by not showing up? I asked, disbelief creeping into my tone. By not making a scene, she finished, her voice suddenly firm. We'll talk when you're calmer. Then the call ended. No goodbye, just a click and silence. I sank back into my chair, my coffee now stone cold. The cursor on my monitor blinked, a tiny, mocking heartbeat. Beneath the shock, something older and heavier settled in my chest. Not rage, not yet. Just that sickening click of a puzzle piece sliding perfectly into place. No seat, no warning, no voice except theirs. In my head, I heard my own voice, flat and hollow. Okay. But it wasn't okay. Not even close. Because the absolute worst part? I already knew what that $9,200 was. I just hadn't realized they were going to use it, wave it like a twisted ticket, to decide who truly counted as family and who didn't. That $9,200 wasn't some surprise bill. Oh no. It was a monstrous snowball, meticulously packed together over 4 years from 100 little, just this once moments. It started with a water heater, then a cracked windshield, then Dad's crown that insurance should have covered, but somehow conveniently didn't. Then there was an HOA fee for repainting curb numbers, which made 0 cents, but came with threats in bold font. Every single time, I'd hear, "Ethan, you know, we'll pay you back." And every single time, I'd sigh and say, "We'll figure it out." Then I'd open my budgeting app, dragging money from my vacation fund to family, from my emergency savings to family, from Ethan's future to family. Tyler's needs. They were almost never emergencies. We're talking shoes that cost a month of groceries. A temporary move back home that turned into 2 years of Mom doing his laundry and Dad just rolling his eyes. Accidental DoorDash charges on their card. Gas money because the job he definitely had didn't start until next week. My role in all of this. It wasn't heroism. It was training. Because if someone cons you long enough, the con just becomes routine. You stop checking the price because the pen is already in your hand, signing away your future. I kept that spreadsheet. I kept every receipt. Not because I ever planned to collect, but because numbers? Numbers calm me when people don't. I never sent invoices. I never charged interest. I just watched that terrifying sum in the corner of the sheet grow. $600 here, $1,000 there. A short-term loan that stopped being short a very long time ago. Every few months, I try to reset. The pattern, right? Let's put everything on paper, I'd suggest. Dad would rub his temples. Don't nickel and dime family, Ethan. Mom would sigh. You make everything so transactional. Tyler would yawn. Bro, you act like you're Bank of America. And then, without missing a beat, he'd ask for gas money. Last winter, the power got shut off at my parents' place. Mom called me, crying, at 7:12 a.m. We paid, she sobbed. I swear we did. They hadn't. The bill was stuffed behind a magnet on the fridge, under a coupon for wings. I paid it, right there from my phone, sitting in my car outside their house, while Tyler slept face down on the couch, the TV blaring, a space heater buzzing away. When the heat kicked back on, Mom hugged me like I'd just pulled them from a raging river. Dad clapped my shoulder. Tyler just burrowed deeper into his blanket and mumbled, "Wait, Tevs." 2 days later, he posted a selfie with a brand new gold chain. So, when he enrolled in that HVAC program in March, I felt the tiniest spark of hope. Something practical. Something that could actually stick. He even sent a photo of his student ID. Mom called me, genuinely bright for the first time in months. He's really doing it, she gushed. Let's support him. I offered to help with books, not cash, not my card, just direct payment. Tyler rolled his eyes in the background. We got it, he'd said. They didn't. By June, that $9,200 on my spreadsheet wasn't just numbers. It was dinners I'd skipped, weekends I'd stayed in, the trip I hadn't taken because August would be better. Except August turned into Dad's root canal, Mom's car battery, Tyler's course fee glitch. We never used the word debt. We used help. We used family. We used we'll make it even. But math doesn't care about pretty words. It just climbed. Then came the dinner. Tyler's graduation. A dinner nobody bothered to tell me about until the very last minute. A table where they explicitly said there was no seat for me because the room was small and I should focus on paying the family's $9,200 debt instead. The math had finally found its voice. It was screaming at me. I could feel the old script trying to boot up in my brain. Asterisk, don't rock the boat. Be gracious. Show up anyway, smile, quietly pick up the check, call it an investment in peace. Asterisk, but something was different this time. Not anger. Not yet. Just blinding clarity. Because it wasn't just the dinner. It was the last month of that HVAC course when Tyler stopped going on Mondays because the instructor was boring. It was the morning I found Mom crying over another red notice, and Dad, without a flicker of shame, saying, "Well, ask Ethan." It was Tyler joking in the group chat. "Our family CFO can figure it out." I even remembered a tiny, insidious moment that should have told me everything. 2 weeks before the dinner, I'd stopped by the house to fix their router. On the fridge, next to a picture of me at 12 with crooked teeth, was a handwritten list. La Vigna, 8 ppl. Underneath, Mom, Dad, Aunt Bree, Uncle Dan, cousins Hannah and Lex, Tyler, and +1 Jade. I read it, a fake smile plastered on my face, and asked, "Who's Jade?" Mom beamed. "Oh, Tyler's girl. We adore her. She brings out the best in him." No. And me? No space left blank. Not even a question mark. I told myself, they probably hadn't finalized the guest count. I'll get the text, like always. "Can you make the reservation? Use your points." I told myself I was being sensitive. But I wasn't missing anything. They were missing me. Sunday afternoon, after the dinner, I went over to drop off a spare HDMI cable. The dining room still reeked of garlic and old, forced laughter. Paper gift bags sat deflated like sad, forgotten flags. Tyler was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through his phone. "How was it?" I asked, my voice flat. He grinned. "Sick." They brought out the tiramisu with a sparkler. Mom cried. Jade cried. I even gave a little speech. A speech? "Oh yeah," he boasted, mimicking holding a mic. "I thanked the fam for riding with me. Said I couldn't have done it without them, especially Mom and Dad. You know, the real ones." I waited. I stood there, waited for my name. It didn't come. He finally looked up at me, a flicker of something almost pitying in his eyes. "Don't be salty, man. It would have been awkward with you there." Awkward. "Why?" I asked. He just shrugged, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "Because you're you. The vibe is just different when you're counting forks." I stood there, clutching that HDMI cable like it was my only lifeline. "Counting forks?" I repeated quietly. Mom walked in then, a stack of plates in her arms. "Ethan, please don't start," she said, without me even starting anything. Dad took the plates from her, his voice weary. "We're tired," he said. "Don't bring up money." I hadn't. Not yet. Tyler just smirked at his phone. "Anyway, no seat for you." We said that. He said it so lightly, like it was a punchline, like it couldn't possibly land on anything solid. But it did. Something in my chest tilted. Not a crash. A quiet, decisive click. I gently placed the HDMI cable on the table. "Got it," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Enjoy the leftovers." On the drive home, I kept a white-knuckle grip on the steering wheel, like it might just float away. I wasn't making plans. I wasn't drafting grand speeches. I was just letting the facts, those cold, hard facts, reorganize themselves in my head until the picture was impossibly sharp. No seat. $9,200. Focus on paying. Not really part of this family. If you hear those words often enough, this is what happens. The person who pays the bill starts checking who's actually eating. The real breaking point, the one that cracked me wide open, happened on Tuesday night. It was one of those humid evenings where the air itself feels like a damp towel. We were all in the family group chat because Aunt Bree had sent a photo of her dog in a tiny graduation cap. A joke, I guess. Everyone was still basking in Tyler's celebrated weekend. Mom chimed in. "We should post the restaurant photo." So proud. Jade, making her first appearance in the chat. "Best night." And then Tyler. "Big love to my real ones." I stared at that last line. My real ones. My gaze slid up the chat history to Mom's message from Friday. "Ethan, honey, you should focus on paying the family's $9,200 debt instead." I took a deep, shaky breath, counted to 5, and typed. My fingers flew. Cool. Since we're talking about the weekend, I have something to share, too. Dots exploded. Dad, of course, was first. "What now, Ethan?" I didn't reply. I just dropped a screenshot into the chat. It was the first page of that spreadsheet I'd kept for years. Clean, clear, unflinching. Dates, amounts, notes. $180.52 for the power that winter morning. $420 for the brake pads Ty needed to drive to class. Urgent. $1,100 for HOA back dues. $300 temporary for mom's prescription when the card declined. $2,000 bridge when the water heater died. On and on it went. The total at the bottom, $9,200.37. Tyler's reply flashed. Classic Ethan. Always with the spreadsheets. My mom. Ethan, this is inappropriate. I typed back, my resolve hardening. This is what you called help. You labeled it the family's $9,200 debt and used it to tell me not to come to my brother's dinner. Dad, naturally, popped up. We are not doing this in a chat. I was so calm it unnerved me. My heart was thrumming. That slow, heavy beat it makes right before you're about to drop a hard truth. You're right, I typed. Let's do it in person. I'm outside, Tyler. He replied, outside where? I hit send on a photo I'd just snapped from their front walk. The living room window glowed, a reflection of my phone, the absurd edge of Dad's old lawn flamingo. My mom called immediately, her voice sharp with panic. Ethan, don't be dramatic. I'm not, I said, my voice steady. I'm here to return something. What? Dad's voice, now closer to the phone, demanded. Money, I said, and boundaries. He opened the door. Tyler and Mom stood right behind him, Jade peeking from the hallway, her eyes wide. I stepped inside, holding up a thick manila envelope. Copies of the spreadsheet, I announced. Printed, so you can hang them on the fridge, since you like lists there. Mom's face flushed scarlet. How dare you? I'm not asking you to pay it today. I cut in, my voice low but firm. I'm telling you I'm done being the table. Dad frowned, utterly bewildered. The what? The table, I repeated, looking him dead in the eyes. The thing you pile everything on. The thing that holds up your dinners and your stories and your excuses. You told me there was no seat for me last weekend. Funny, I've been paying for this table all along. Until today. Silence. The kind that hums with unspoken truths. Tyler let out a high, fake laugh. You sound like a meme, bro. I looked at him, truly looked at him. Congrats on finishing your course. He rolled his eyes. Certificate, bro, try to keep up. You know, I said, my voice rising slightly. I called La Vigna this afternoon. Mom stiffened, her jaw tightening. Why would you do that? Because, I explained, I wanted to ask the manager a favor. I've booked tables there for work. They know me. My gaze swept over them. I asked if anyone had paid with the family card. They hadn't. I asked if a card had bounced. He said yes. Twice. Then someone used a different card. The bill was $612 before tip. Mom's lips pressed into a thin, furious line. This is harassment. No, I countered. It's clarity. I don't care about your dinner. I care about the part where I was told to focus on paying $9,200 so I could stay home and shut up, while you celebrated a kid who told me I'm not really part of this family. Dad's jaw flexed, a vein throbbing in his temple. Watch your tone. There's going to be a new tone, I said, holding up a finger. And it has 3 points. I raised a second finger. 1. No more money. Not for HOA, not for breaks, not for phone plans, not for DoorDash accidents. If your card declines, you eat at home. I raised a third finger. 2. Boundaries. I won't be on call for tech support, bill disputes, or landlord drama. I work for a company. I am not your 24/7 help desk. My voice didn't waver. 3. Respect. You don't get to use my name when it's convenient and erase it when it's not. You left me off that list and told me to focus on paying. That ends today. Mom pointed accusingly at the envelope. So the spreadsheet is a bill. The spreadsheet, I corrected, my voice steel, is a history. You can ignore it, like you ignore the calendar, the red notices, and the way you talk to me. But I won't. Not anymore. Tyler snorted, a derisive sound. What are you gonna do? Block us? Maybe, I said, a dangerous calm in my voice. Or maybe I'll do something scarier. He leaned forward, intrigued. Like what? Nothing, I said. I'll do nothing the next time you ask. He blinked. The words landed. Dad stepped forward, his shoulders hunched, bristling with indignation. You don't talk to your mother like this in our house. I looked past him, at the family photo on the wall. Me at 10, proudly holding a cake I'd baked from a box. Tyler at 2, grabbing a frosting rose with his fist. Mom, smiling not at the camera, but at Tyler. Dad mid-blink. I'm not here to fight, I said, my voice softer now, almost a whisper. I'm here to tell you I heard you. Heard what? Mom snapped. That there was no seat for me. I replied. So I'm not standing anymore either. I placed the envelope on the entry table, next to a jar of spare keys and loose screws. I turned to leave. Tyler's voice, sharp and bitter, chased me. You'll be back, he sneered. You always come back. I kept walking. Not to this, I muttered. When the door closed behind me, my hands started to shake uncontrollably. Not from fear, but from the immense weight that had just lifted. I sat in my car for a long time, just letting my heart slow down to a rhythm I finally recognized as my own. Then I drove home, and for the first time in a decade, I turned off my phone overnight. I woke up before my alarm, not to silence, but to an avalanche of missed calls and texts. Mom, Ethan, this was cruel. Dad, we need to talk like adults. Tyler, bro, you really printed receipts? LMAO, Jade, this is between you and your family. Please don't drag me. And 3 long, sighing voicemails from Aunt Bree, ending with Sweetie, family is messy. I made coffee. I answered precisely none of them. At 9:04 a.m., Dad showed up at my apartment, unannounced. He has a key for emergencies, which apparently included, we borrowed your drill, or help me log into this streaming thing. I didn't buzz him up. He rang and hammered on the door until my upstairs neighbor yelled down the stairwell. After 6 long minutes, he finally left. 10 minutes later, a new text, unacceptable. I set my phone face down and opened my budgeting app. For the first time ever, the family category had a monthly cap of $0. It looked like a joke. It felt like CPR. At noon, HR slacked me. All good, my boss asked. I'd given him a heads up the night before. Family stuff, boundaries, phone off during lunch. He sent a thumbs up emoji and then, proud of you. I stared at that for a full minute, weirdly close to tears. It's disorienting, truly, when someone calls decent the very thing you were told was cruelty. By afternoon, my phone buzzed with a new group chat notification. Family, no drama. Mom had created it. Added everyone but me. Then, 3 minutes later, she added me. Mom, we will only use this chat for logistics. No arguments. Tyler, LOL. Aunt Bree, love this. I muted it. Around 5 p.m., a message popped up from an unknown number. Hi, Ethan. This is Mr. Coleman from La Vigna. Just wanted to confirm that everything is resolved regarding Saturday's payment. We appreciate your past business. I hadn't asked him to text. He did anyway. I read it, and a memory flashed. All those times I'd bailed out at dinner, seamlessly sliding my card across the table to keep things moving, while Dad joked about my points and Tyler ordered yet another drink. Thanks, I replied. Please remove my parents' number from my profile. Keep mine if they reserve under it. Of course, he wrote. Hope to see you soon. That evening, Mom called. A call, not a text. I answered. Her voice had the brittle, glassy shine of tears that aren't about sorrow, but about being told no. I don't recognize you, she accused. I don't recognize that sentence. I countered, my voice flat. You've become cold. I've become consistent, I corrected. She inhaled sharply. You humiliated your brother. I printed numbers, I said. That's not how family solves things, she snapped back. How does family solve things? I asked, my voice edged with a dangerous curiosity. Privately, she spat. Not with ultimatums. The ultimatum, I said, happened Friday. You told me to pay and not attend. You used money to decide who was in and who was out. That's not what she started, then stopped. There it was. That tiny, pregnant pause where the truth walks into the room, and you either greet it or shove it out the back door. I love you, I said, my voice softening just a fraction. But you made something very clear. You're overreacting, she said quickly, desperately. We'll see, I said. Here's how this works for me now. If you need help, you ask. I say yes or no based on my life, not your urgency. You don't get my login to your bills. You don't get my card on file. If you book a dinner, you invite me or you don't. But you don't demand I fund it. We never asked you to fund it, she insisted. You did, I said. You told me to focus on paying the $9,200 debt while you ate dessert. She said nothing. I'm going to be off the grid this weekend. I continued, my voice firm. Please don't come by. If you do, I won't answer the door. This is cruel, she whispered, her voice breaking. Boundary, I said, and I ended the call. Saturday morning, Tyler texted me a selfie from the garage. Grease on his hands, hair pushed back with a bandana. First official day at the shop, he wrote. HVAC life. I stared at it. A tiny, old part of me, the part that wanted to fix everything, wanted to say, proud of you. But the larger, newly formed part stayed quiet. Not out of spite. Out of accuracy. Pride without honesty isn't kindness. It's counterfeit. At noon, he called. I let it go to voicemail. He texted, okay, calm down. I need a favor. My first check won't hit until next Friday, and gas is insane. Spot me $80. I typed, no. He sent a string of question marks. Then, dude, it's 80. I typed again, no, he called. I didn't answer. He sent, I'll pay you back. Then, you're seriously petty. Finally, fine, I'll ask Dad. At 2 p.m., Dad texted a photo of a shut-off notice. This is what you've done, he wrote. It was from the water company. Balance, $128.43. Due date, 6 weeks ago. A glaring red stamp screamed, final notice. I typed, call the number. Set a payment plan. That's what adults do. He replied, you used to handle this. I wrote back, I used to be the table. No response. That Sunday evening, I got an email from my apartment's leasing office. Good news. Your application to switch to a 2-bedroom has been approved. I reread it, confused for a second, then laughed out loud. Of course. Just last month, I toured a bigger place, thinking, maybe this year I'll finally get a dog, but I'd shelved it for family. I walked down to the river at dusk, letting the thought expand in my mind until it was a clear, undeniable shape. I don't have to shelter my life to hold up theirs. On Monday, Jade messaged me privately. I'm sorry for my part, she wrote. I didn't know about everything. I like your brother. I also like honesty. I wrote back, thanks for saying that. She replied, he asked me to text you for gas money. I told him to ask his boss for an advance. He hung up on me. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. That wasn't my fire to put out anymore. By Wednesday, the group chat was quiet. A calm no one trusted. Then Mom posted, family dinner at our place Sunday. We'd like to talk with love. I stared at it. I felt the old tug, the familiar pull that said, show up, mediate, be the grown-up, fix the energy. Then I thought of the empty seat with my name not on it. I typed, I won't be there. Mom immediately replied, Ethan. My fingers moved quickly. If you want to talk, you can come to my place. Saturday, 2 p.m., 1 hour. No Jade, no ants, no ambushes. We talk about boundaries, not feelings. If anyone raises their voice, I'll end the meeting. If anyone says you owe us, I'll end the meeting. If anyone brings up the spreadsheet to call me petty, I'll end the meeting. Dad, of course, chimed in, we're not children. My reply was simple. Then this will be simple. Saturday at 2 p.m., they came. No Tyler. He'd picked up a shift. Mom brought banana bread, clutching it like a talisman. We sat at my small table, the one I'd bought secondhand and sanded myself, the one with a scratch where I'd dropped a mug last fall. I kept it short. I love you, I said, looking from Mom to Dad. But I won't sponsor you. That's not love. That's erasing me. Dad's jaw worked. Mom stared at her hands. I slid a single sheet across the table. Boundary agreement. Ethan's copy. 3 bullet points. Exactly the ones I'd laid out at their doorway. Mom read it, shaking her head. This is so formal. Clarity is kindness, I said. Dad exhaled, a long, weary sound. We'll try, he said finally. It sounded like he was admitting defeat, but I didn't need victory. I needed a door that could close without someone sticking a foot in it. When they left, I made pasta, poured a cheap glass of red wine, and watched a dumb show. I didn't stare at my phone. I didn't wait for it to ring. But it still did. Tyler, at midnight. Heard about your agreement. LOL. You think you're better than us. I put my phone in a drawer. And I slept. A week passed. Nobody asked me for money. 2 weeks. The water stayed on at their house. I know because Dad texted me a photo of his tomato plants, like proof of competence. Mom sent a picture of a casserole with the caption, your favorite. I typed, thanks. I didn't pick it up. On the Friday of week 3, my boss called me into his office. He told me about an internal posting, senior systems analyst. More money, a small team, less pager duty. He looked at me, a knowing look in his eyes. Ethan, you've been carrying more than your title for a long time. I said, I know. It didn't feel arrogant. It felt accurate. That night, I signed the new lease. 2 bedrooms. Dog-friendly. I named a folder on my desktop Ethan's Life. Inside it, adoption links for shelters, a savings plan for an actual vacation, a list called friends to cook for. And under it all, quiet. Not the suffocating silence of being excluded, but the profound, liberating quiet you get when the noise isn't yours anymore. 2 months later, a postcard arrived. On the front, a cartoon wrench and a snowflake. On the back, in Tyler's messy, all-caps handwriting, certified real job, paying my own car insurance. Now don't be weird about this, but thanks for the first push. I stood in my kitchen, reading it 3 times. And I felt something complex bloom inside me. Something warmer than resentment, but cooler than forgiveness. Not a ribbon, perfect ending. Just a new sentence. I didn't text back right away. I certainly didn't post it in the chat. I just stuck the card to my fridge with a magnet that says, "Please leave by 9:30. Then I fed my dog. Her name is Pixel, by the way, and took her out. The river was green and glassy, reflecting the fading light. The city sounded like itself again. Here's what I know now, what I've learned in the hardest possible way. Generosity without boundaries is just a slow leak. Eventually, you're standing in an empty room, wondering why you're so damn cold. So here's my moral. Because I like sentences that end and hold. I am not the table. I am a person with a chair and a name, and I decide where I sit. And if there isn't a seat for me, I don't stand there anymore. So, I finally stood up for myself. I drew a line. It was messy. It was painful, but it was necessary. What about you? Have you ever had to choose between your family and your sanity? How did you draw your line? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to know.